from the National News Studio, Sri Lanka.
Good evening. Welcome to the National News broadcast coming to you live from the National News Studios here at Rupavahini. I'm Kasani Balachandra.
I'm Charita Minipurarachi, and let's move on to the headlines for tonight's news.
Late Jackson Anthony bids adieu to the nation. President envisions Indian Ocean's crucial role in emerging new world order at the Galle Dialogue. Many obstacles linked to the debt restructuring process in the country relax following the agreement with China. Pharmaceutical procurements pertaining to the company with medicinal supply concerns suspended. Section from Imaduwa to Pinaduwa in the Southern Expressway closed temporarily. Donald Trump criticizes Israel Prime Minister Netanyahu over the Hamas attack.
And we move on to those and other stories in detail, taking a look at your local stories. First off, veteran actor Jackson Anthony bid adieu to the nation today.
He was 65 years at the time of his demise. Late Jackson Anthony, as a veteran actor, television and cinema director, screenwriter, singer, critic, as well as a program presenter, rendered an immense service to the field of arts and considered as one of the most versatile artists ever to grace the nation. Late Jackson Anthony suffered severe injuries from an accident on the 22nd of July last year while returning from a film shooting. He was receiving treatments at the Colombo National Hospital before his demise on the 9th. Many paid their final respects to the remains of the late Jackson Anthony, kept at his residence in Mehidumawatha, Ragama Road, Kadavatha. Buddhist religious rites were conducted for the late Jackson Anthony. Subsequently, the remains were taken to the St. Peter and Paul's Church in Ragama in a procession. Many of his contemporaries, artists, relatives, friends and fans took part in this procession. Catholic religious rites were conducted at the St. Peter and Paul's Church. Subsequently, relatives of the late Jackson Anthony prepared the remains to the church burial site. The condolence message sent by President Ranil Wickremesinghe was also read during the funeral. Many, including the Prime Minister, had issued condolence messages over the demise of the late Jackson Anthony. Professor Sunil Ariratna and veteran actor Ranjan Ramanayaka addressed the gathering on behalf of the public, including artists. The remains of late Jackson Anthony was buried at the cemetery of the St. Peter and Paul's Church amidst the grieving crowds of relatives, artists and fans of late Jackson Anthony.
President Ranil Wickremesinghe emphasizes that the countries in the Indian Ocean region has a crucial role in the emerging New World Order. He made these remarks while addressing the 11th edition of the Galle Dialogue today.
Honorable Ranil.
The two-day conference was held under the theme Emerging New Order in the Indian Ocean. The international conference was organized to strengthen regional maritime cooperation and formulate a global strategy to face common challenges in the maritime domain. Representatives from 11 international organizations, 44 countries and chiefs of Navy, including Navy Commander Vice Admiral Priyantha Pereira, were present on this occasion. Addressing the gathering, President Wickremesinghe underlined the importance of ports and their role in the evolving global trade landscape, emphasizing Sri Lanka's strategic location and the development of key ports.
Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, the opening remarks of
At the outset, congratulations.
Depicums elaborates.
Stakeholders' effort in nurturing safe and secure.
Commander of the Sri Lanka Army and Air Force, ladies and gentlemen. The Indian Ocean with displacement, poverty, pollution.
Is a
the Galle Dialogue, the changes that are necessary and where the focus should be. The general discussion so far revealed that it's good that we focus in the Indian Ocean and the surrounding area. I think we would like to have the views of you all who are participating as to the area of focus, general focus of the Galle Dialogue. So how do we fit into these constructs? What do we do? So as a civilization, as a country, but what else is the Indian Ocean? It goes in every direction. So you see that there is a political thinking here, which must be taken in its context and not outside that. The developments that has taken place in East Asia and Asia Pacific, the Indian Ocean, to India, to Bangladesh. Similarly, on the other hand, you find the Gulf states. So you find two big economic centers coming up in the Indian Ocean immediately, followed by Africa. By 2050, Africa is going to be booming, and those who haven't should read African Agenda 2063. So it is, then it becomes a center. It doesn't mean that Asia Pacific ceases to be, but there will be three main centers maybe. The West, the Asia Pacific and the India. So then we have identity of its own in trading. So if you look at it that way, when Africa and all are trading, what is Sri Lanka's position? We are here located in the strategic, we have the strategic location. So if we develop our ports are important. Remember that this part of the world will get control of the ports. With Dubai port that is coming in, world ports, you're taking a large number. Others are also getting in. If Sri Lanka can get a few ports, we'll do that. We have to be in the game. So that's one important issue. Secondly, what about the airlines? Basically, airlines are dominated by the UAE and Qatar. And Qatar and they are also getting into airports. So you can see a new paradigm that is developing. And what is the new emerging order? It will affect what is going to happen now after the Hamas attack on Israel. You could see politics taking its place. Israel has already formed a unity government. So destroying Hamas is one thing. They can take military action against. But what's the reaction if you go and destroy Gaza? The whole situation will change in 24 hours. Nothing the governments here can control. From here all the way to Indonesia, elsewhere, governments will lose control of the situation. This whole picture, what I say, will change. It's not, I wouldn't envy being involved in those negotiations. What do? One hand, you have a unity government in Israel wanting to strike back. If you go into Gaza, you can, the whole Middle East will on fire, and that will affect all of us here, up to Turkey on one end, up to Philippines on the other side. It will affect Central Asia, including Xinjiang. So in the next few days, we'll decide what the options are. I wouldn't like to be in President Biden's shoes. How does he handle it this way? Bad enough with allies on both sides. How do you handle it domestically when you have to think of the Jewish vote bloc for the next election? And his difficulty of speaking with Congress, it may be easier for him to speak to Hamas than to speak to the Congress leadership. But it is that it's how delicate it is. But on his decisions will depend what happens. So all this that we said today can change tomorrow. So let's hope wise leadership prevails and that we all, I think a lot of backdoor diplomacy is going on, that all that will succeed and somehow we can hold the situation. Otherwise, we'll have to meet again to decide what the new order that has emerged.
And meanwhile, the Ministry of Finance says Sri Lanka has reached an agreement on a long-term debt treatment with the Export-Import Bank of China. In a statement, the ministry has indicated that the agreement in principle covers approximately $4.2 billion of outstanding debt. The Finance Ministry has indicated that the agreement constitutes a step towards the restoration of Sri Lanka's long-term debt sustainability and will pave the way to a prompt economic recovery. As per the Ministry, the indicative terms agreed to provide the necessary fiscal space for Sri Lanka to implement its reform agenda. The government commended the engagement and continuous support of China's Exim Bank in reaching the agreement in principle, which demonstrates a mutual commitment in line with the objective of restoring public debt sustainability consistent with the IMF-supported program. The ministry has said that the authorities are expecting the landmark achievement to provide an anchor to their ongoing engagement with the official creditor committee and commercial creditors, including the bondholders. It should also facilitate approval by the IMF Executive Board of the first review of the IMF-supported program in the coming weeks, allowing for the next tranche of IMF financing of about $334 million to be disbursed as per the ministry statement.
Minister Kehlia Rabukwella has taken steps to suspend and terminate all pharmaceutical procurements related to controversial Isolates Biotech Pharma AG Limited over alleged issues pertaining to the supply of pharmaceuticals to Sri Lanka. This has been officially communicated to the Secretary of the Ministry of Health and the heads of the relevant institutions. Accordingly, the minister has informed to suspend all payments to the relevant company until the conclusion of the investigations conducted by the Criminal Investigations Department. The orders placed with the company and the scheduled orders have been suspended and terminated accordingly. The ministry has pointed out that reports have indicated that the relevant company had supplied medicine in a questionable manner and raises the suspicions over a possible supply of medicine in such nature in future as well. The health minister has sought the advice of the Attorney General over the concerns associated with the pharmaceutical company, which has raised significant legal and regulatory issues in the healthcare sector. Israel has said there will be no humanitarian break to its siege of the Gaza Strip until all its hostages are freed, amidst growing concern over dwindling water, food and fuel supplies after a fifth night of bombardment.
Israel Energy Minister Israel Katz wrote on social media that no electrical switch will be turned on, no water hydrant will be opened and no fuel truck will enter until the abductees were free. Israel is preparing to launch a ground invasion in response to bloody massacres carried out in 20 Israeli communities by the Palestinian Islamist group Hamas last weekend, during which dozens of hostages were also seized in most of the serious escalation in the region for over 50 years. Israel air raids have killed at least 151 Palestinians today, and Palestinians Wafa news agency reports. Wafa reported that the Israeli bombardment went on for hours with dozens of missiles and bombs hitting towers, buildings and homes throughout the Strip. The number of Palestinians killed in Israeli bombardment of Gaza keeps increasing. The latest death toll provided by the enclave's health ministry stands at 1,417. More than 6,200 have also been wounded. In Israel, the number of people killed in Hamas attack has reached 1,300, with more than 3,200 other wounded. Israelites are dropping leaflets over northern Gaza, telling residents to evacuate their homes immediately and head for non-shelters. Anyone who is near Hamas terrorists or other facilities will put their life in danger. The house that will be used by terrorist organizations will be bombed. The message read in Arabic: shelters in the Gaza Strip are not safe from air strikes. The UN Agency for Palestinian Refugees has sent 10 of its shelters struck since the start of the operation.
Confirm that this is the incendiary weapon white phosphorus.
President Ranil Wickremesinghe has directed government officials to prioritize the immediate requirements of Sri Lankan citizens residing in Israel, especially their safety in light of the ongoing conflict between Israel and Hamas. The Sri Lankan Embassy in Israel and relevant government departments have collaboratively initiated a special program aimed at offering the utmost possible assistance to the Sri Lankan community living in Israel. The President Media Division statement has indicated that Sri Lankans working or residing in Israel for various purposes have access to channels for directly informing Sri Lankan authorities in case of life-threatening situations or related difficulties. According to the statement, they could convey their needs or obtain essential information by reaching out through +9411 796 6396 and on WhatsApp on +94767 463391 and email opscenga@gmail.com. The government emphasizes that all Sri Lankans in Israel can avail of these services through established immigration procedures or any other appropriate method.
Physicians point out that the recent spread of an eye disease among children has been observed for nearly 1.5 months. They have further indicated that the infection may also affect the eyesight.
Dr. Hiranya Baisekara has indicated that this eye infection is mostly linked with respiratory ailments of children. Several symptoms are associated with this infection, including redness in the eyes, itching, excessive tears, headaches, sensitivity to light and dry eyes. If children are experiencing these symptoms, then they are urged to seek immediate medical attention from an ophthalmologist. Dr. Hiranya Baisekara of the Lady Ridgeway Children's Hospital said that this infection has been observed as a part of viral infections in the respiratory system of many children. Accordingly, the doctor said that the infection has a tendency to affect the sclera of the eyes. Accordingly, the doctor urged the patients to keep the children with such symptoms at home for at least 3 days to avoid any spread. The doctor also urged to practice good hygiene, such as washing hands regularly and avoiding touching their eyes to minimize the risk of the infection. And in other stories, Prime Minister Dinesh Gunawardena proposed setting up of a joint economic council with United Arab Emirates to promote trade and investment cooperation between the two countries.
This proposal was made during a meeting at the Temple Trees in Colombo yesterday. UAE Minister of State of Economic and Trade Affairs of the Foreign Ministry Ahmed bin Ali Said called on the Prime Minister yesterday. The UAE Minister agreed that official negotiations should be commenced to finalize the cooperation of economic partnership agreement for enhancing economic ties, as there are immense potential in trade, energy, hospitality and tourism spheres, as well as for increasing investment in renewable energy projects in Sri Lanka. The Prime Minister said UAE has the opportunities now to invest in new sectors such as agriculture, as new economic zones have been set up for growth of food crops for exports. Once Minister of Foreign Affairs in Thailand, Shaisek Phonkit Kerb, called on Prime Minister Dinesh Gunawardena yesterday. The meeting was held at the Temple Trees. Member of Parliament Yadamini Gunawardena and Secretary of Ministry of Public Administration Ranjit Ashoka were also present during the meeting.
The section from Imaduwa to Pinnaduwa in the Southern Expressway has been closed temporarily after a section at the Rangodakanda collapsed near the 102nd kilometer post of the expressway. Road Development Authority has indicated that the clearance of the road is currently underway. Director General of the authority LVS Veerakon said that at least one lane of the expressway will be cleared for vehicular movement. The landslide had occurred around 8:30 p.m. yesterday. A team of the National Building Research Organization has been deployed to the scene to determine whether the mountain which was collapsed poses further risk of landslide. The relevant report in this regard will be handed over in near future. Director General of Road Development Authority LVS Veerakoon said that steps have been taken to constantly monitor the collapsed section of the mountain. Meanwhile, 6 Special Task Force officers stationed at the Pinnaduwa guard post had been injured after they reached the landslide area to check on the disruptions caused to the expressway. Reports have indicated that the officers were injured after being caught in a second landslide which had occurred while they were inspecting the area.
Moving to the weather forecast, and heavy showers which have affected several districts present have posed flood risk in many parts of the country. Sluice gates in 2 reservoirs in the Central Highlands have been opened. The Irrigation Department informed today that the flood situation in Akurasa, Malimbada, Tihagoda and Kambarupitiya divisions may increase with the inclement showery condition prevailing in the Mathura district. Also, the flood situation in Kaduwa, Karagoda, Uyangoda, Kithalagama and Narangala areas have been slightly increased. According to the Irrigation Department, has requested the residents of these areas to be cautious over the prevailing condition. Meanwhile, the Mathura-Tissa main road has been inundated in the Hungama area, side hampering the vehicular movement. Also, residents living in surrounding areas of the Nilbala river have been requested to be cautious over the increasing water levels in the river. Reports have indicated that Kambarupitiya, Mapalana, Tihagoda and Pothugoda areas experience heavy showers today. The Vimala Surendra reservoir has been overflowing since last evening due to the inclement weather conditions experienced in Norton Bridge catchment areas. Engineers in charge of the reservoir said that this condition has increased the water level in the Kalani River. A sluice gate of the upper Kothmala reservoir has been opened following the heavy showers in the catchment areas. Engineers in charge of the reservoir has informed the residents living surrounding to the reservoir to be cautious over the automatic opening of the sluice gates if it persisting heavy showers continues. Meanwhile, the capacity of the St. Clair's and Devon waterfalls have been increased due to the heavy showers experienced in the western hills of the Central Highlands. Kalu River of the Veganga in Ratnapura have reached spill levels following the heavy showers occurred in the high-lying areas yesterday. The vehicular movement was hampered due to the inundation of the main roads and by roads in the low-lying areas. Niralgama Alupatha main road in the Ratnapura have been inundated in the Athoya area. Reports have indicated that Alapatha Kahavatha main road has been inundated in 2 places in Maralia area.
Now let's take a look at several local news items in brief. The Asian Women Parliamentarian Caucus Annual Meeting 2023 had its inaugural opening recently in Parliament. The meeting of the Asian Women Parliamentarian Caucus was held under the theme Inclusivity and Diversity in Gender Equality in Parliaments in Asia. It was held with the participation of Speaker Mahinda Yapabewardena. A ceremony to commemorate the World Arthritis Day was held at the Colombo National Hospital today. The theme of this year's celebration was Connect Today for a Better Tomorrow. The Rheumatology Department of the National Hospital organized this event. The second phase of the fuel distribution program for one-day fishery strollers on free of charge was commenced from the Beruala harbour today. The initiative has been implemented under the financial assistance from the government of China. The allowance will be extended for 28,000 fishermen. A group of 50 students and teachers, including the principal of Danture Udavela Vidyalaya, has come under a wasp attack today. Reports have indicated that the injured have been admitted to the Kadugannava and Peradeniya hospitals. Foreign news on the other side of this break.
Hot and spicy fun vibe එක විවර කරන්න beat එක remake කරන්න to win හදවත වවලා යන්න කිංගර passion කරන්න fun උතුරන්න කොත්තමි kick එක මෙන්න TikTok viral යනවා නැතිල trending වෙනවා hot පහසක් පැවසෙනවා spicy රස වැටහෙනවා prima කොත්තමි fun තමයි Prima Kottumi, fun tamai.
Welcome back with international stories, and Indian authorities say that at least 4 people were killed and several others injured when an express train derailed in the Indian state of Bihar. The train from Anand Vihar Terminal Railway Station in Delhi came off the rails as it reached the Kamakaya Junction in Assam. Authorities confirmed 4 casualties. 21 coaches of the North-East Express train, which runs from Delhi to Assam, derailed at the Ragnathpur Railway Station in Bihar's Buxar district. Tarun Prakash, General Manager of Eastern Railways, said several other passengers and goods train were diverted due to the accident. India's Minister of Railways Ashwin Vishawat said on social media network X that the train's evacuation and rescue were complete. Hospital sources say that at least there are 100 people who injured in the incident.
Prima Kutumi, Pantamai.
And in your sports news tonight, a ceremony to welcome athlete Tharushika Naratne, who won a gold medal for Sri Lanka at the Asian Games after 21 years, was held in Kandy today.
Tharushika Naratne and their coach Santa Fernando were taken to the ceremony in a procession. At the ceremony, Tharushi and their coach received gifts and tokens of appreciation. Meanwhile, a mother who had taken part in the ceremony took off her earrings and gifted to Tharushi, which took the attention of the gathering. Central Provincial Governor Lalithu Gamage was also present on this occasion.
කන් දෙක දැක්කද? ඇගේ කනේ දාගෙන හිටපු කරාමු දෙක ගලවලා අරුෂිත දෙන්න තරම් අය පරිත්‍යාගශීලී වෙනවා. ඒ අම්මට නිදුක් නිරෝගී සුව අපි ප්‍රාර්ථනා කරනවා. අස්වල කඳුළු කියනවා ඇති. රටක් දිනවපු රටක් කනින් බබලවපු.
And in more sports news, Uzbekistan managed to clinch a victory against Sri Lanka in the second edition of the Central Asian Men's Challenge Volleyball Championship yesterday. The tournament is underway at the Sugatadasa Indoor Stadium in Colombo.
This is the first defeat suffered by Sri Lanka in the tournament. Uzbekistan won the match by 3 rounds to 2, and Sri Lanka will compete against Afghanistan tomorrow in the tournament. Sri Lanka under-19 cricket team left the country to Pakistan for 5 4-day matches and 5 one-day matches. The squad consists of 16 young players, and Royal College Sinith Javardhana is led in the side. India managed to secure an 8-wicket victory against Afghanistan in the ICC Men's Cricket World Cup yesterday, and the match was played in Delhi. Afghanistan batting first scored 272 runs for the loss of 8 wickets in their innings. Chasing 273, India managed to chase down the target with 8 wickets in hand. Rohit Sharma scored 131 runs and earning him the Man of the Match award.
Prima Kutumi, Pantamai.
And with that, we wrap up tonight's English news on Rupavahini. We'll see you tomorrow at the very same time. I'm Kasani signing off together with Charika. Good night.
Good night.